You know, when I officially changed my name to this from 2.5 Stooges in 2014, I don't remember having this much trouble, like, trying to transition. I don't know if that's because I've been using the name Dragonite on other places for about 2 years before that, or just because, I don't know, it seemed more normal or something. But, I don't know, maybe all I have to do is call myself stupid for 2 years before I started reading this, and I would have had a fine time just introducing myself as that. Oh, wait. Anyway, we are now home, or something, or waking up from a daydream or something. The morning sun had declared the arrival of a new day and woke me up from my vivid dreams. Memories of my home, enclosed with the towering perimeter and wall, raced through my head. Which immediately makes me start asking questions because I don't remember anything about that earlier in the story, as I mentioned at the end of the last video. The peaceful landscape outside the apartment window stood in defiance of the old thoughts. Rolling hills and blue sky were familiar to me now, and the purity of the sight gave me hope. Wait a minute, has there been like a time skip or something? Have I been here for a couple more weeks now or whatever? Stupid, please come with me. Am I in trouble? You sound serious. The chief will explain everything once we arrive. Okay. Hey, Chief, Stupid is here. Thanks, Sebastian. You can deal with the situation while I talk to Stupid, alright? Has there been another murder? There's been another murder, hasn't there? Of course. I've got some really bad news. You tend to have that, I've noticed. What is it? You know Anna, right? I've met her, yes. Did she get murdered? How about her assistant? Can't say I have. Well, that's him. Okay, so there has been another murder. And here's more bad news. The blood we found on the first victim in the town matches the DNA evidence found on the second victim at the power facility. I mean, you could interpret that as meaning that there's only one murderer lying around, probably, instead of there being multiple murderers lying around, but... Okay, furthermore, the murder weapon and method appear to be the same across all three victims, and that's going to be a big problem for you. Does it match the blood test or something? Because with these three murders, Reza now qualifies as a serial killer. We won't be able to keep this whole thing quiet for much longer. Higher authorities, including the ministry in charge of your whole visit, will know about this soon. I have no idea what will happen once they do. Thanks, Reza. Getting me in trouble along with you. I'm not sure what to say about that. I don't want to worry you, but we can be sure that the action will be taken soon. I've been considering the possibility for a while, and I think it might be best if you went back to your own world for now. Aw. That's not any fun. This way, we can take action before the ministry does, and before this all becomes public. If we wait, we don't know what they'll do or how the public will react. With everything going on, it's too dangerous for you to stay here. No. No. This would be the worst possible time for me to leave. We've given up our PDAs and hardly have anything to show for it. We are owed several more generators, and let's not forget that Reza is still missing. Yeah, Reza, it's all your fault. If I leave now, the only thing I return home with is my life. I'll have lost everything else. Wait a minute, someone gave me a generator earlier. Did Reza take it and just run away? Is that what happened? I wasn't paying attention to whose possession the generator was in, because the thing with getting shot kind of happened. And I was a little distracted. We need those generators, Brez. I have no idea if your authorities will continue to uphold our deal, or what they'll do to Reza, but I'm not leaving until this is over. If that's your decision, so be it. Anyway, let's get back on track. I called you here for a reason, Stupid. In addition to the murder, several things were stolen, among them your PDAs, batteries, and some components used to build generators. That's convenient, so you don't have the stuff that I gave you either. Does that ring any bells? Not really. Reza may have some knowledge of electronics, but I doubt he has enough to assemble one of your generators, even if he has the parts. Strange. Even so, it's fair to assume Reza's involvement at this point. No one else has a greater motive to steal PDAs, especially after what happened between him and Maverick. If I may interject for just a moment, I was kind of joking when I said, are there other people in this world, like humanoid people in this world besides me and Reza? And, that suddenly seems, well, not suddenly, but it's steadily seeming like a more valid, outcome. We'll see, I guess. Unless someone wanted to frame Reza in order to sabotage the whole operation. Do you really believe that? Hey, I'm just saying that it's possible. I mean, now that I think about it, Reza really kind of was speaking earlier as if, there were other men behind the curtain other than himself. Unless there's like a dragon mafia or something that he allied with, which I won't rule out either. I'll shove that under the idea of possible but unlikely. Oh, cool. Wait, are you talking to me? Or are you talking to my protagonist? Or both? Hey, Chief, are we done here? Pretty much, why do you ask? We just got a message from the higher-ups. You and Stupid are to report to the Ministry of Culture and Arts immediately. Immediately, as in right now. That's usually what immediately means, yes. Apparently. What's going on? To be frank, I don't know. This is an extraordinary situation, and now that it's getting quite out of hand, they must want to address it. Okay, maybe they're going to throw a surprise party for us. This doesn't feel like the time to be cracking jokes somehow. My expectation is that yes is the worst possibility. Bryce is saying he can take it. If you expect the worst, at least you won't be disappointed. There you go. Sebastian, you can finish up here and go to the ministry when you're done. We'll probably have to make some arrangements after this meeting. Sure thing, Chief. Let's go then, shall we? It's not like we have a choice. Oh, are we gonna talk to the Emerald Lady again? We are. That was quicker than I expected. I wouldn't have minded waiting out here just a little longer. That's your entire thing, isn't it? That you like to sit on the beach. Greetings, Minister. Greetings. Shall we go inside for our official business? No, I've got everything I need right here. It gets so stuffy inside on hot days. My assistant doesn't seem to mind, but I prefer fresh air. I'd rather just stay right here, unless you have any objections. I don't. I see. Well, I know I haven't exactly been up to date in regards to Ray's sudden appearance. Where did I get situation from? But to get the message today that he is a confirmed serial killer was quite shocking. Frankly, I'm curious as to why the facts of this case have been withheld from me for so long. I am too, to be honest. Simply because we weren't within your jurisdiction. The murders were strictly a police matter. Only with the amount of new evidence, namely the DNA and blood we found, and these 3 murders now being linked together, and to him did your ministry linked together and to him is one grouping of words. Did your ministry have to become involved? I see, so Ray's involvement is now undeniable. I'm afraid so, Minister. Facts are nothing to be afraid of. Though, in light of all this, I'm starting to worry about my personal safety. With our thick hides, I don't think our species has much to fear if we consider the murder weapon. Yeah, except for the fact that he's already killed 3 of you. Speak for yourself. You don't think someone of my standing needs protection? Oh, for sure. If you're worried about your personal safety, we can look into an escort for you. Good. Considering all the murders took place during the night, I'll certainly need it. Long days are endemic in my line of work. But that's enough about myself. We now face the question of what should be done about Reza and Stupid. Minister, if we continue our hunt for Reza every day, as for a matter of fact, Stupid has been helping us do so for a while. Is that so? One human a murderer, another a detective. Interesting. And how do we know Stupid isn't following a plan similar to Reza's, whatever that may be? Similar concerns were leveled by Reza's escort, Maverick. It was only his overreaction that caused Reza to run away in the first place. Let the human talk for once, Chief. Please, Stupid, enlighten me. You and Reza come here on the same mission, and the situation has escalated beyond our expectations. What you tell me now will determine the actions I'll take on this matter. Okay, this sounds important. Maybe you should start by telling me your side of events from the beginning. Reza was fine during his early days here. Things only went wrong after you arrived. I opened my mouth, but Bryce spoke first, determined to defend me. Arguably, the problems that caused all this were apparent even then. How so? Maverick suspected Reza of planning something, but I don't think he had a case. Well, did he? No, what he had was a suspicion. The night he followed Reza, he found both him and Stupid at the portal. The humans intended to send one of their promised generators through, but there was a confrontation that ended with both Maverick and Stupid wounded and Reza running away. Reza's been missing ever since. Yes, we know that already. I've read the reports already, Chief. The question is, did Maverick cause this, or did he just fail to prevent it? I have no way of knowing that, Minister. You just mentioned your apparent knowledge of problems back then. Problems may not have been the right word. Let's just say Maverick's attitude was not helpful during that encounter. Why did you choose Maverick as his escort in the first place? Protection for the human ambassador was my greatest concern when I made that decision, and Maverick was the most capable individual in that regard. Well, that worked out nicely, didn't it? Hindsight, right? You also seem to think that Maverick shouldn't have remained Reza's escort, is that true? Yes, had I paid more attention to the warning signs, this situation may have been avoided. So you accept responsibility for the incident. How come characters in stories always go that route? Yes, Minister. I see. Now let us get back to the topic of Stupid. When I was in high school, I can't remember what the exact game was, but there was a mobile game that was in the variety of, like, you are a virus and you're trying to destroy the entire world, or destroy the entire human population or whatever. And one of my friends was playing that during lunch one day, and he named the virus Stupid. And it started to spread, and the game started throwing out messages like Stupid has infected Australia, and we both found that way funnier than we really should have. Now let's get back to the topic of Stupid. Reza was your partner in humanity's mission to come to this world. His list of criminal activities includes not only murder, but the theft of generators, all electronic components, and the PDAs your people gave to us. If it makes you feel any better, they do this in our world as well, so they're not just picking on you. I understand why Bryce would reason that you could that you could help the investigation, but we have no other choice but to be suspicious of Reza's partner. What was your motivation when you agreed to help us? And whether I'm supposed to or not, I think this is a very fair question to be asking me. And they probably should not just be taking my word for it, realistically, but we'll see how that goes, because that might not make for the best story if they just, like, quarantine me for the rest of the plot. Bryce wouldn't let me say no. It is my best bet at finding the truth. It's beneficial to my actual mission. If this means, like, I want to find out more about this world, then yes. I thought Reza's involvement was undeniable at this point. That may be true, but we still don't have the whole picture. We don't know if others are involved or his reasons. I just want to know why. Okay, so we're not talking about the, like, the parallel world thing itself. We're talking about Reza specifically. Okay, well, I want to know that as well, so. After reading up on the whole situation and hearing both your accounts, I believe that Stupid is trustworthy. That was easy. Nevertheless, I think Stupid presents a great risk. Why is that? After this meeting, I will hold a press conference to inform the public of the current situation. The people must know of the danger posed by Reza. No matter what Bryce and I think about your involvement, the public could feel differently. You, me, and Bryce will have to face the backlash resulting from this information becoming public, and what's more, Stupid, you might be in real danger yourself. Reza himself may come to silence you once he learns that you are helping us, or consider the public uproar from those who would question your involvement. Oh god, I know that the Dark Brotherhood guy in the apartment place by the power supply, he said something to me before he ran away, and I can't remember what he said. And I feel like that's going to be very important, and possibly, like, probably top 5 most important lines of dialogue in this game, and I don't remember what it is. All things considered, it would be best for you if you return to your own world until the situation has been resolved. Then I wouldn't get to experience the plot. I came to the very same conclusion, Minister. Then, with your support, this is what shall be done. Please, don't. You don't agree. If you send me back now, this diplomatic relationship is over. I'd have to admit my defeat to humanity. There is no way I can return without your generators, RPDAs, or Reza, or any combination of such. Maybe you could explain to them what a great choice of an ambassador Reza was. Oh, I'm sure I will be, either way. One way or another. But I was his partner, so in a way, he is my responsibility. I can't just go back like this. I'm afraid that's not enough. It certainly doesn't outweigh our reasons for sending you home. Just let me explain, I'll tell you everything. Is this going to be just a too long didn't read, or is this going to be... Oh, okay, this is backstory on my world. That's cool. Years ago, our world was prosperous. Our technology was far more advanced than yours, even. Computers not only graced every household, but every single person. But I must say, the stop errors in this world are quite up to par with ours. Computers not only graced every household, but every single person. It was the age of information. Even children had the power to access the most powerful knowledge, the most advanced knowledge at their fingertips. With our PDAs, our interconnectedness with other people and our environment was greater than ever. For locomotion, the repetitious work and from locomotion to repetitious work and even household chores, many processes were automated to such a degree that, except for our jobs and hobbies, there was nothing that needed to be done by a person anymore. Even the concept of somebody wielding a weapon was outdated, as wars were no longer fought by people but by machines. Looking back, it was probably the single most prosperous time in human history. Exploitation of the environment and other people was at an all-time low. Okay, so this isn't exactly our reality, as was crime. Conversely, our technological advancements has drastically increased our quality of life. Humans were no longer required for strenuous and repetitive tasks. Education had reached an all-time high. Another discrepancy. And many new jobs were created. General happiness reached levels never before seen. Yet one day, everything changed. Is this going to be a solar flare wiping out the communication satellites? It really is! Okay. I like how all I had to see was a little star and I was able to figure that out. A solar flare that was headed for Earth was detected by an automated monitoring system. It was determined to be so powerful that it dwarfed all the others ever recorded in history. We had less than a week to prepare. Chaos hit much earlier than that, and as people scrambled to shield themselves and their possessions from the incoming ion storm. For those of you who don't know, I want to say in like the 1860s, obviously long before communication satellites, there was a solar storm of some type, and it was so strong that telegraph machines that were turned off activated and began transmitting information over the wire. And should that happen today, we would be royally toast. And that is actually something that I think about, and I'm sure people who are smarter than me think about. On a worldwide level, power lines were switched off, satellites were reoriented in space, and planes were grounded to mitigate the effects that would hit us. I wonder if it would be easier to ground the satellites, or just like, I don't know, put them in a geostationary orbit behind the Earth so that they're shielded by the planet from most of the radiation or something. It's probably not that easy. Hey. I can't say I paid attention in physics class. Despite humanity's contingency plan for such an event and all our efforts, we were still not prepared for the sheer magnitude of the solar flow that arrived. It was only then, when our race had become so dependent on technology, that we were immeasurably vulnerable against this kind of disaster. That day, a force with the power of 10 billion Hiroshima bombs were unleashed into our atmosphere. The eyewitness reports from that day were varied as they were terrifying. Is that an aurora in, like, Jamaica or something? A huge, beautiful aurora could be seen on the horizon before fireballs hurled across the sky. Okay, it doesn't say where it was visible from, but I'm guessing it was a little farther south than usual. In some places, these lights became so bright that even those asleep at night woke as though the day had arrived. A coronal mass ejection by itself did not have the power to kill anyone directly, but the side effects were disastrous. After the lights in the sky arrived, sparks showered from the electrical outlets everywhere, igniting rampant fires in every town and city. Facilities that stored weapons, fireworks, or other explosives became centers of widespread destruction and loss of life. During the next stage, the solar flare started to affect the body modifications and caused commonplace pacemakers and nanomachines to fail. 15% of the world's population died as a result of these alone. Once the full power of the waves hit us, however, society as we knew it collapsed in one fell swoop. Power grids on Earth were shut down in an instant, as did the machines that automated our routine tasks. Long-distance communication and transport became a thing of the past. Without electrical power, the quality of healthcare plummeted, and water and sewage systems were crippled. Diseases thought defeated centuries ago made their comeback in the most unsightly fashion. Many thought the end of the world had arrived, and in a way it had. Some people blamed whoever their belief system would allow, angry at the gods that had forsaken them. Others pointed their fingers at our lifestyle and society, not that anyone was listening. Practically, we were back in the Middle Ages. Governments collapsed and were overthrown, and the ensuing power vacuums filled with groups of people that were sometimes organized and sometimes not. I'm gonna bank on more often than not them being not. The few functioning electronic devices left became rare, sought-after artifacts over which battles and even wars were fought. Of course, there were also wars over resources and territory. The weaponry used was improvised or reclaimed from the days when humans had been present on the battlefield. It had been ages, but people returned to the old bloody ways of war. Humanity is in shambles now. Those that I call family and friends now live with me in a giant, mostly self-sufficient city-state of survivors. And I'm going to assume that at the beginning of, was it this video, that's what the game meant when it said, like, the giant walls and fortress-like walls and whatever the exact words were. A huge wall around the perimeter guarded by militia prevents any outside interference. It's the only way we can retain a modicum of order. Gangs and raiders and looters run rampant on the outside. They wouldn't hesitate to kill first and ask questions later if they had known about my PDA. Our contained community had flourished for years now. We have homes to live in, crops to grow, and livestock to raise, and still have our own automated hospital that runs on the salvage generators. Lately, though, supplies have started to run low, and dangerously so. The power we have is running out. Illnesses are spreading through the city, and a treatment isn't available as it used to be. Our population is dropping by the day. We took a great risk to increase the radius of our scouting missions, desperate to find something outside the wall that could help us. That feels like if the vaults in Fallout weren't, like, huge psychological experiment scams, that sounds like it could be one. A very generic one, mind you, but it sounds like it could be the groundwork for a vault story. Hey. Alright, minor complaint. I kind of wish that little bits of that story were at least teased in the writing in the story in the first... I'm on episode 11 of the story, in the first 10 videos. If there could have been hints that, like... I think he mentioned going home once or twice, but he didn't say what would be awaiting him when he got home or anything like that, the narrator or Reza. Minor complaint. You already know the rest of the story. We found the portal, and you. And now you know why the whole thing is so important to me. All our hopes lie in acquiring the generators you promised us. I was gonna suggest for about like a third of a second that like humans just come here to live with the dragons, and then I remembered that that would be a catastrophically awful idea, and I'm sure it wouldn't end well for anybody. For anybody who doesn't get where I'm going with that, 1492. The act of sending Reza and me here has, without a doubt, already cost the lives of some people back home. Beyond the city walls is a dead zone. Beyond the city walls is a dead zone, and my rate of speech is slowly but surely accelerating, and if you can't understand what I'm saying, I do need to work on that. We haven't heard from any other settlements for months now. The state of the rest of the world is unknown. When Reza and I were sent here, my peers made it clear that this was our last chance. If anything happens to us, no more people will be sent. If we can't manage to bring something back that will help, we'll have sealed the fate of the tens of thousands that live in our city. I'm sorry, stupid, I didn't know. If what you are telling me is true, it unfortunately does not work in your favor. As sad as your situation may be, it gives Reza a motive. Desperate times call for desperate measures, after all. In that vein, it also gives you a motive. Considering the gravity of the human plight, it gives you all the more reason to collaborate with him. I'm not. What Reza's doing is wrong. You can't send me here under these... You can't send me away under these circumstances, because I'm your best bet at finding him. Even so, you would still be in grave danger after we announced that Reza's involvement with the murderers. I cannot and will not take responsibility for the consequences when I know of the risks. What about our deal, then? In the wake of this new information, and as a sign of goodwill, we will send the generators you are owed through the portal once this is over. Under two conditions. Humanity must condemn Reza's actions, and we must reclaim the stolen PDAs. I've changed my mind. You should let Stupid stay here. I cannot take your word under consideration on this matter, Chief. Taking into account Maverick's actions and your responsibility for them, you will have to be dealt with separately. Oh, screw you! With my authority as the minister in charge of the human visit, my decision is to have Stupid sent back to the human world through the portal. Please! Immediately! Chief, please arrange an escort to take Stupid back to the portal now. I can do it myself, Minister. Well, we have our matters to discuss, Chief, and I would rather get that over with as quickly as possible. In that case, one of my official officers should be here at any moment. I arranged for him to meet us here. How handy. Then let us wait for this officer of yours. It didn't take long for Sebastian to arrive. After the situation was explained, he was visibly shocked, but didn't protest when he was given the task of sending me back through the portal. Let's go, Stupid. I didn't even get to say goodbye. Let us not waste any more time. You will still be free to send letters after you've arrived on the other side. Yeah, you will, but are the people going to? Just go, Stupid. Come back. Come on, then. Hey, do any of you guys want to come with me, just for fun? We were silent as Sebastian and I slowly made our way through the portal. With each step I took, I drew closer and closer to the hopelessness waiting for me in the ruins of the human world. All in all, I certainly had a unique experience alongside the dragons, and although this place was filled with just as much drama and murder as it had been back home, I'd remember this world and all the people I met. I would fondly think back to the days I spent in their comfortable standard of living, a shadow of how humanity used to be. Even without the generators, at the very least, I'd be returning home with few life lessons. What's going on here? Lost in thought, I hadn't even noticed the Dean approach. It's none of your concern, please leave. And with that, I'm going to end this here, and Dean, I'm sorry you're gonna have to wait for tomorrow. No. Tomorrow's Pokemon, you're gonna have to wait for 2 days from now. My name is Stupid, and I will see you all later.